I mean, as far as the project and how the project came about, I didn't have to sell them on anything because one of the executives there actually witnessed the music I was playing and the effect that it was having on people in the club. And these was different mashups that I produced prior to this happening with Motown. So he was there, and he, you know, I remember Andre pulling me to the side, was like, what was this version you played? Yo, you played this other song, and yo, you played the remix of this, and what's this? And I was telling him, yeah, that's stuff that I did in the crib. And it was like, yo, how would you like to do a project like that? You ever thought of doing a project like that? And I thought, you know, I'm like, yeah, this dude ain't serious, you know. It's like, yo, I'm dead serious. So, you know, months down the line, after he got the green light, it was like, yo, they gave you the green light, let's go. So it was like, oh, okay. And I turned it around in about a month and a half, 2 months. And I know it was some people being skeptical, oh, we're gonna let them touch this music. I don't know. You know, so when I handed the project in, and the phone calls I was getting back was like, yo, do you understand what you gave us? And I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm glad you like it. Oh man, this is incredible in the way we touched on Sister's Love. Now is the time. Taking it from the Mac soundtrack and recreating it and touching upon it and adding to it and re-drumming the whole song. So when you hear Now is the Time, that's actually a live drummer that sonically put the drums back together, you know, where it has that vintage feel versus a modern feel. And then putting a drum break in the middle of the record, how old records used to let the drummer get funky in the middle of the record, and then building it up back into the song. So that's probably one of my favorites off the album, you know, because of I know what it took to get it like that. I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, Andre, his name is Andre Torres. He's the one that came to me and gave me the idea of doing this as a project. Also, the owner of Wax Poetics. If you're familiar with that magazine, if you're not, definitely look it up, because that magazine was so incredible. That magazine actually runs kind of parallel to what I'm doing with the Motown project, because he would do these in-depth interviews with so many incredible artists and producers. I mean, you really have to go pick up a Wax Poetic magazine if you never had one to really get the full understanding of what I'm talking about here. When I handed this project in, the project was probably a couple of weeks in Motown, and I remember one of the execs there was like, well, so what else do you want to do? And I was like, well, you know, let me marinate with this for a minute. I want to see the direction I want to take next. So I didn't want to say, okay, let's do another one, because projects doing stuff like this, I made it look simple, but it's not simple at all. It's a lot of work. And, you know, I flew in musicians, and, you know, I flew out to meet up with Dinky Bingham. I mean, Dink is, man, keyboard extraordinaire, man. I've worked with Dink since The Awakening. I mean, me and Dink go back to the early 90s. And he's somebody that understands my way of thinking and understands when it comes to music, what direction I'm looking to go in. He knows when it comes to R&B that if you can predict the direction of where the music is going, he knows I don't like that. I like R&B music is when you hearing it, the chords are fresh, the direction is different. And as it's coming about, you like, I didn't know he was gonna go there with it like that, you know. Such as when you listen to when we had to mix the Barge record, I Like It. Now, anybody who's familiar with the Barge, I Like It knows that record is a dominant record because when you hear the original, if you heard the original, that's all you hear. You couldn't even hear it going somewhere else, you know. Dun, 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 dun. The groove is so dominating and so focal that, man, when I had to remix that was probably the scariest record to remix. It was like, damn, like, where am I going to take this? But when I had a chance to sit with Dink, it's just like going to war, and you going to war with a vet, and you know, like, man, I don't give a fuck how many people on the battlefield. I got the vet with me, and that's what I felt like when I got in contact with him, and he had time. We had time to sit down and do this. I knew we was gonna come with something. I knew that I'm in good hands, you know, because he understands me upside down, you know.